Welcome to Get Involved Referee, the most experienced and insightful aspect of refereeing, with me, Lindsay Heron, and two former Grade 1 referees, Steve Conroy and Des Roache. And in this episode, we'll be looking at the aspects of VAR coming into Scottish football later this year. The added complication, of course, being that it doesn't actually take effect until after the Qatar World Cup. But of course, first things first, a brand new Scottish season. So much drama, bickering and downright fury lying ahead of us, I would imagine, boys. It really is quite exciting at this time of the year, isn't it, when the big kick-off is on its way, Steve?
Oh, absolutely. Life returns to normal, and the more bickering and the more argument, the better, I think, for us.
Absolutely. I think referees are no different from any football player. They just want to be involved on a Saturday and to have something to do rather than going to the shops and taking the dog a walk.
Well, the players have been training hard. Well, you think they've been training hard anyway, would hope so. But the referees the same? Are they getting that same excitement, that same sort of thrill of getting ready for it all?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. As Des says, it's the same buzz for refereeing as it is for the players. And our pre-season is already, it's underway. It's underway just as quick as the footballers. You've got your pre-season, but then obviously you're going to have your formal training sessions organised as well. So they'll be up and running. Certainly fitness won't be an excuse.
No, they had the referees meeting yesterday, and I know for a fact that they were doing the yo-yo test yesterday. So they'll be getting put through their paces. They'll all be getting checked, making sure that they're at the level that they should be at. But referees, Stephen quite rightly says, referees are athletes just like footballers. They've got to be at the peak of performance all the time. So again, it would have been a 2-week take-off and then straight back into it.
A bit like football, sometimes you lose the top stars, they leave the division. I mean, Rangers have lost a couple of big players in Joe Aribo, for example, Calvin Bassey. Celtic, sold Hudson Edward last season and Ryan Christie, guys like that. They do leave the game. We've lost one of our top referees, Bobby Madden. I know you thought very highly of him, Steve, as an official, so definitely a loss for the game, you think?
Oh, absolutely it is. And in my opinion, he wasn't one of our better ones. He was our best one. So absolutely, he'll be a loss, and big boots to fill for whoever comes in. Hopefully we can fill the spot, but I don't think currently we've got anybody anywhere near as good as Bobby was.
An interesting decision, Des. He's chosen to go down to England, and he's going to be operating at what we think League 1 and League 2 level at the age of 44 rather. So, a bit of not a strange career choice, an interesting career choice.
I think it was more of a professional choice rather than a career choice. I think his work situation has changed, and he's been relocated to a new area. Now, it could probably been very easy for Bobby to say, well, I'm going to bow out at the top within Scottish football. But he's went down to England, he's given himself a new challenge. Yes, he's got to start at what they would progress as the lower leagues, but I'm sure Bobby's will have no fear whatsoever of doing that, and I'm quite sure the players will enjoy a fresh approach to it as well, and having somebody different and a different voice and a different opinion as well. But no, good luck to him. I don't think it was a professional choice. I think it was a personal career choice for him to move to England.
Such is his ability, then I guess you guys would concur that he would have the ability to perform at the top level in the Premier League in England, but whether that will happen or not, we're not sure.
Without a shadow of a doubt, he's capable of it. I don't think there's anything down there that Bobby would have to fear. He'll start off at the lower level. Not sure if he's got enough time to reach the Premier. There'll be a big queue ahead of him, right enough, but absolutely no doubt whatsoever that he's more than capable of meeting whatever challenges down there.
I think he's covered some foreign matches before, Des. I think he did some games in the Greek top division, for example, which is a bit of a volatile atmosphere, Panathinaikos, Olympiakos.
Yeah, I mean, Bobby's his reputation doesn't need any scrutiny. He's been a FIFA referee for a good number of years. He's refereed all the top teams in the world. He's been across, as you quite rightly said, across the Greece to do the volatile derbies across there. So no, his ability won't be in question. What it does do, Peter, is yes, it leaves a vacuum, a hole to replace, but that's then an opportunity for someone else to come up and fill. And I'm sure we'll go on and discuss that through today and through the season ahead. But it's an opportunity that young guys should be looking to grab.
Just before we do that, it brings up an interesting point. Obviously Bobby going down to England. would you ever see it happening the other way? Would you see English referees perhaps wanting to come up here? And is that something that the SFA would ever countenance?
I've not heard of anybody up to now who's done that. I've not heard of any whispers of people who have intimating that or wanting to do that. But I suppose their careers might down there might change. But they're much more full time. I was going to say professional, but that's in inverted commas. They're much more full time, so probably not the same position that Bobby's been in. But you can bet your bottom dollar every referee down there would be dying to do a Celtic Rangers game.
Absolutely. 100% agree. Everybody around the world knows of Celtic and Rangers. Okay, the other teams may be not of such a high standing, but if our English referee came up and he was of the required ability, then there's no reason why he shouldn't be involved.
No reason why not. Yeah.
It's always about your country of residence where you officiate.
There was talk of that before, should we bring in someone from foreign shores to cover that fixture, simply because it will have no alleged or perceived allegiance or leanings or anything like that. Would you like to keep it local, or would you think, well, we could bring in a top German fellow or a French guy or whatever?
Absolutely not local. No. And you see it often enough that we're all accused of being biased, and there's no secret to who I support, but not for a moment did that interfere or influence anything that I did during a game of football. And I defy anybody to prove that any of our guys are cheats in inverted commas and would do their job. They'd make their decisions according to what team they support. And there were a couple of high profile things maybe in the last season or two, but not for a second would I believe that any of our guys would let that interfere with how they do their job.
I always take it in the fact that if you're a referee, you enjoy football. If you enjoy football, you support a team A or team B, whoever it may be. But when you're actually officiating on that pitch at that moment in time, now you could be refereeing Bridgeway Boys Club under 12s against Limerick Rangers under 12s. You see a foul, you don't see the colour, you don't see the team. And now, if anybody can be, as a Category 1 referee, can give a foul with a biased opinion, then you're a better man and a better referee than I could ever be, because it is instinctive. You can only give what you see, and certainly none of the guys in Scotland have went down that route, and I've never seen it, and I've never expect to see it. They're too professional. You don't put all that hard work in to get through the years, to get there, to build yourself up, to get in that position, that you're going to jeopardise it because you have an allegiance to Team A or Team B.
Yeah.
So, no. I mean, yes, I support a team, but that team I have never, ever favoured positively or negatively.
You talked about big boots to fill and a void to fill, and it is a big position for the SFA to decide, or the SPFL to make these decisions. But who do you think is going to sort of come to the forefront as number one referee this season?
I don't think there's any doubt that that's going to be Nick Walsh. He has been climbing through the ranks progressively. He's been doing it successfully. I think he had a good steady season last year. That's maybe unfair, a wee bit better than a steady season. I think he's going to be the number one for the season coming.
Would that mean then, for example, you send out the message early, you give him the first derby of the first Rangers-Celtic game, the Celtic-Rangers game at Parkhead in September?
That's what I would do. Yep, but common sense and the SFA don't often make good bedfellows.
No, I think Nick's made his way progressively a steady trajectory. He's been done the Scottish Cup final a couple of years ago. He's been challenged and managed high-profile games. I think he'd done the Rangers West Ham game at the weekend there as well. Mm-hmm. So I've got no doubt. I concur with Steve. He will, in my opinion, be our number one leading light. What does need happen is I think we need a couple of the referees to back him up, and we need a good pool of 3 or 4 coming in behind him. I think Kevin Clancy's obviously been there for a number of years. I think Kevin, by his own admission, maybe was a so-so year last year. Okay, not a bad season, but I think he needs to come back and have a strong season. Don Robertson will back that up as well. And you've got obviously Willie Collum, you've got Alan Muir, guys who've got experience of being around the playground a few times. So, but no, Nick will be our number one.
What are his best attributes then, Steve? I mean, does he just handle the game well? Is he a good sort of arbiter in tight situations?
Yeah, I think he's very calm. He's very collected. I don't think we very often get accused of being robotic. I don't think Nick is like that. I think he's much more his own sort of man. Fit as a fiddle as well. But I just like how calm and collected he is in a game. Nothing phases him. And so long as he keeps that, then that'll stand him in good stead.
Yeah, his mannerisms are very, very composed. You don't ever really see him sort of getting animated or overreacting. He's always very, very calm and composed. And Steve said his fitness is first class.
You talked about Kevin having a tough season, and there were some big games that I seem to recall where some decisions were proven to be, poor decisions on the night, and that's obviously kind of gone against him over the campaign. What do you do to try and rectify that to make things better for the next season?
The first thing you do, the best thing you do, is forget it. It's gone. Nothing you can do to change it. Always the most important decision's your next one. And yeah, he had a couple of. I think he didn't have his best last season, and he's better than last season would suggest. He needs to forget it. He needs to dust himself down and remember and believe how good he is, and just get back in the saddle.
Yep, I agree.
You talked about another couple that coming in to help, or to boost the pool of talent. Who else would you suggest? You talked about Don Robertson and being an experienced man. Any other younger ones you think could push their way through?
For me, I think the one that's coming through and they've dipped his toe in here and there is David Dickinson. Now, David's unashamedly, he's a friend, and I know the family very well. But David's there on his own merit, and he's tall, he's fit, he's got a good manner about him. He gets himself around the park. He was recently away with John Beaton on a European trip, which again would allude me to think that, well, he's going there on a learning journey. But I would expect David Dickinson to be the next one. I think Craig Napier as well. Craig's been in the SPL. He's done a few Premier League games. For me, I think David's the next one, and give him over the next couple of years to embed himself within there, and he will be one of the main guys.
Some harsh decisions have been made as well, Steve. It looks like a couple of lads have been demoted, if you like, to a degree, from the top list of select referees. It doesn't preclude them or prevent them from doing Premiership games during the campaign, but how tough is that for the likes of Gavin Duncan and Greg Aitken, who have been put down a little bit?
That I think that's obviously going to come as a slight to them. They're certainly not going to be happy. At the very least, they're going to be disappointed. It doesn't mean that their refereeing lives are over, but it's going to be harder for them to get back into the big pool of games, and they won't be in consideration for the big games, certainly to begin with. I was especially surprised at Greg, I have to say, certainly considering the publicity that he was getting and being put up with the SFA for all the VAR sessions when it was on the telly and all the rest of it. I was surprised at that. Gavin, I don't know as much, but neither of them will be happy at the situation they're in.
Yeah, it can't be easy, can it, Des? When you're kind of dunted down a little bit when you're trying to get as big a game as you possibly can. Yeah,
it'll be a hit to their ego. Of course it is. It's to any human and any person in any walk of life and any job. If you are not entrusted to be doing the role that you've been previously fulfilling, and Greg, again, by his own admission, he's maybe had a couple of games that didn't go the way that he would have liked to, but he's still done a fair number. And Gavin as well. I mean, Gavin was in the SPL a heck of a lot last year.
I saw him often enough.
Yeah, we've seen him often enough, and he was at Ibrox, he was at Parkhead. So to be told that you're not part of that group that's going to be considered for the elite games, yeah, it's going to take a wee bit of hit to them, but it's not the end of their refereeing career. That's far from the story.
No, absolutely. Some new managers on the scene this year, so the question is, who's the first manager to go off his head in the new Premiership season? We've got a few shouters on the side of the pitch, haven't we? Maybe Jim Goodwin or a Graham Alexander are the lones that you'd be looking at?
I never really had any bother with Jim. I never had any worries about him. Although I did have to, when he was playing for someone, I did have to have a quiet word with him in the Renfrewshire Cup final one time when he nearly took a Morton player's head off, but we'll forget that. Graham Alexander, the only personal contact I had with him, I'm sure it was he at Accrington Stanley?
Yeah, he was down south.
I think that was, if I'm wrong, I'm happy to be corrected. Where they played Thistle in a pre-season friendly. That's the only personal contact I had with him, and I certainly don't remember any hassles with him. So who's all the volatile ones? I don't know.
I don't know. No. Listen, the season's not started yet. We can't.
We'll soon find out.
We'll soon find out in week 4.
No, exactly. No, it's just that, and we talked before. It's funny that the two top managers in the country are the managers of the top 2 in the country are pretty calm, laid back guys, aren't they? It's not like the old days of Neil Lennon or Alan McCoist or whatever. Sometimes there's a bit of a shouter and screamer when he was there, and maybe Walter even on occasion.
Walter could have a few choice words.
I think I'm still the only one that ever sent Walter Smith off.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah, at Kilmarnock. It was on the say-so of the 4th official, and I won't say who
it wasn't me.
I won't say who the 4th official was, but obviously it was me that got the publicity for sending him off. I'll keep that name for later.
And was that for things you'd be saying or shouting or
saying?
Were they losing at that point, presumably?
I don't know. Presumably so. There was certainly something going on he wasn't happy about it anyway.
But you can imagine that, tensions are high. Obviously, the early part of the campaign, managers want to get their teams off to a start. So there's bound to be some theatrics, I suppose, on the sidelines.
There's a lot of pressure on these guys. I mean, you've seen what Sean Maloney lasted. Couple of months. Jack Ross. I think actually now when you see Jack Ross going into Dundee United, you actually see how good a job he done with Hibs and where Hibs then tailed off towards the end of the year. So they are under pressure. They will come out with quips here and there, but as long as it's in goodwill, then I'm sure the referees will be fine. And when the managers do want to talk to the referee's quite happy to. See if he waits that 20 minutes and say, right, come in, we'll have a chat. Don't put this in the papers. Have a chat, explain it. You might agree, you might not, but hey, we got on with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
I would agree.
And the other thing, usually ahead of the season, is to bring the clubs in and some of the players in to get a feel for what's happening in the campaign ahead. Maybe sort of revise their thought process on some decisions or some rules that they've maybe forgotten.
Forgotten if they ever knew them. And certainly in our day, everybody was invited to Hampden. It was a Premier then. I can't remember if anybody below that came, but everybody got an invite, and there'd be 2 or 3 of us sitting in. It'd be a Q&A, and essentially us saying how the rules were going to be applied, whether it's new rules, different rules, or just a different interpretation. Mm-hmm. But it's it's not a prison sentence, so they're allowed not to come, and it was quite disappointing.
Yeah,
the number of people who chose not to come at that time. Out of ignorance, I don't know who showed up or if there was a meeting this time, but that was certainly how
I think they have to do it. I think they have to do it under the Uefa Convention and what they have, because it's obviously a top league in the country. But you can guarantee by the minute their foot hits the bottom of those stairs, they forgot everything that's been said in there. Can guarantee it. Mm-hmm. And as soon as the first whistle goes, they care about it even less. You
don't remember any studious aficionados of refereeing then who were hanging on your every word?
No.
No.
Just wait till they got you in the park the next time.
That's it.
Give you an earful.
Oh, I got that often enough, yeah.
We've talked considerably before about this extraordinary season whereby obviously VAR's coming in, but it's not coming in until they've got it ready. At the moment we're expecting it to be after the conclusion of the World Cup that gives them that time to set it all up. You two both agree that it's madness to do this, but it's happening. So, I mean, the consequences of that could be quite dire, couldn't they, really?
Well, yeah, we've said it on here. It's, even though the rules don't change, interpretation changes from one Saturday to the next, because you've got VAR and things will be looked at much more closely than they did the week before. So it's in many senses, it's a different game. I've said it, and I'm stuttering over my words. I can't believe that they could think it's appropriate to bring it in halfway through a season. It's just nuts.
We've been speaking about this since the turn of the year. Are you telling me that the SPFL have got sponsors in line? They've got teams who are going to be there. They know they need 12 grounds equipped. They have not got enough time between, call it 1st of January to the end of July, start of August, to have these grounds and this equipment, and you've seen them in Hampden in their Star Trek booth and doing their stuff. Why is it not ready? It's only ready because we're stalling on it. And to me, it's ridiculous. Steve quite rightly said, the laws of the game haven't changed. The interpretation and the application will change immensely. And for what Team A gets a decision on week 10 will be different from what the decision they get in week 11. And that can have huge bearings on teams staying in a league, managers staying in a job, money coming into the club. Just go and do it right. It's typical Scotland doing it half-arsed, so to speak.
Yeah.
Excuse my language, but do it right. If you're going to do something, do it right. They've had all this time, get the infrastructure in place, get it ready to go and play.
Yep, I agree. We've said it so many times. If they're talking about they haven't got the infrastructure and they need to do the camera angles and all the ground job, blah blah blah. It's it's been about forever. So they surely it's not beyond the wit of man that they could have had it organised for the start of this season, or if not for the start of this season, then for the start of next.
Yeah.
It begs the question that some players might have got away with certain things in the past. Do you think they will become exposed in VAR? Not necessarily for violent conduct, but for certain incidents in the part that the referee might miss. People that perpetuate these crimes will be brought to justice.
Here's the headline comment.
One word answer: yes. Of course there will be. And we talk about trial by sports scene. There's plenty of cameras and all the rest of it about that. The likes of Mr. Adams' theatrics last season get pulled up, but it's there's going to be more that's going to come out, more that's going to happen, but we're all going to see it. The world's going to see it.
Yeah, it actually might make the players. I was going to say make them wiser. If that's what it might make them be more aware that they're under even more scrutiny now. That shirt pull or that flailing elbow or something maybe picked up that wasn't done previously. But hey, just need to wait and see.
Time will tell.
Time will tell.
And just to confirm on that, if there's a red card offence that a VAR official sees, he can immediately tell the referee to stop the game and administer the justice that needs to be administered.
Yep.
It's got to be an obvious decision. It's got to be
clear and obvious.
Clear and obvious is the word getting used. And also where the line of intervention, where does the VAR become involved? Is that enough to be involved, or is that just human error? Or no, it's got to be fact, it's got to be correct, it's got to be clear, obvious, and intent.
It's not, and never was intended to have an argument about what's a foul and what isn't.
No.
A bog standard, again in inverted commas, foul. There's 4 of us in here. There'll be 4. And there'll be 4 different interpretations of any foul or any trip or any pull or whatever. But VAR's there for something that is screaming at you, basically, and it needs to be, please do it. Needs to be administered instantly, straight away.
Yeah. So someone who's a regular punching someone in the stomach or kicking them in the ankles or whatever, and has been getting away with that type of offence is really no hiding place now.
Nope. If the only hiding place is if VAR doesn't pick it up. You're at the behest of the cameras. But if the cameras see it, then they're done for it. And certainly stuff that you or I would have missed. You can only look in one direction. So if you're looking at you, Lindsay, but something's going on behind my back, I can't see it.
Yep.
So that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, and that's where I say that. Excuse me. That's where that line of intervention comes. What can the referee justifiably be expected to have under his control? Something's happened behind his back. You're looking for the assistant referee or the 4th official to be picking it up, but now you've got VAR, you've got cameras, and the clubs, they really have no hiding place anymore.
I don't know, maybe it will maybe come out in the fullness of time. I think I said on here before, where when it was first introduced, remember when assistants had to get involved in decisions on the field to correct mistakes by the ref. The assistant getting involved automatically meant that the ref was marked down. I hope that something like that doesn't come on. If it's to pull you up for, somebody's toe being offside that led to a goal or not, that's nobody's fault. It's impossible to guide that or to see things like that. And if it's a sleek at elbow on the blind side of everybody else, and it's not possible for the human eye to get it, then there's no mistake made, because it's impossible to see it. And I just hope to God that the SFA have common sense in that.
Yeah, I think that's through the whole VAR thing over the last couple of years, and obviously watching TV and Sky and BBC, etc. When they draw the lines on the pitch, and it's, as you said, it's like a toenail further on. Is that really a decision that should be affecting the outcome of a game? Is that really a decision that you'd expect a referee to get? Nobody with the naked eye is going to pick that up. It has to be, for me, it has to be, is that a goal? Is it not a goal? Is that a yellow card? Is that a red card? It's something that's factual and substantial that you can actually justify. These millimetre offsides, or these balls come back at, no, it has to be the major decisions that are there. VAR's not there to take away the human element of refereeing. In my opinion, it shouldn't be taken away. Refereeing, like football, is a game of skill and error. You score a goal because you've got better skill than another person. You score a goal because a defender's made an error. Referees make mistakes. It's no shock, guys. We make mistakes. But the big things, that's the bits that VAR has to be there for.
Well, you raise an interesting point, because if referees are going to be marked or marked down rather, or criticised if they do miss certain things, is there a threat to them then? Is there a threat to referees that they might, find themselves under increasing pressure?
There's a threat to anybody who keeps getting downgraded.
Yeah.
Who keeps losing marks, or
we just spoke about two.
Yeah, exactly.
We just spoke about two. The guys are no longer in the top group because it's been deemed that their marks haven't been sufficient to.
So there are consequences to
it.
And if we're going to be downgraded for what is humanly impossible to call without the aid of this, then it would be mad, and not to say hugely unfair, if the refs got criticism that could demote them.
Have you spoken to any of the guys that are going to be inactive in this field in the coming season? Are they looking forward to it? Are they relishing it? Or are they a bit sceptical, like you've described, there could be an issue for them?
All combinations of that.
Right.
And again, I won't say who it was, but the last one I had to chat with about my particular soapbox about getting marked down said that hadn't been decided yet. So hopefully, they have their thinking caps on. But anybody being introduced to new technology, and especially when we are so far behind Malta and the like, then of course we're going to be excited about it.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting because Celtic and Rangers were the driving forces in terms of the clubs wanting this technology introduced to the game. But it'd be interesting to see how they're impacted by it. Do you feel that it will be beneficial to the big two, or will they actually suffer more as a consequence because more decisions might go against them?
I think the fact that Celtic and Rangers, predominantly the teams that are attacking more, are in the opposition penalty area more. I think I would say potentially yes, they could be downgraded or not get as many decisions as it was before, because we didn't have that minute detail to go and inspect. But at the end of the day, the better teams win because they've got better players and they're scoring more goals, not because referees give them more or less decisions. But to answer your question, will they be hindered by it? Quite possibly.
The reverse could be true as well, though.
Of course, yeah.
Talking to so many Celtic and Rangers supporters, they think each think they're really hard done by, and they should have had even more penalties and more people sent off against them. Who knows? But it will certainly involve those two more than it will the others.
Yeah. Like you say, I suppose they might get some more offsides against them, but conflictingly, they might get more offside decisions go for them, if you like, because they're attacking more than everybody.
Because they're attacking more frequently, they're attacking more skillfully, and they're attacking quicker than everybody else. So, as we said, time will tell, but it certainly won't be without consequence.
No, it'll be interesting.
And what about when they face each other? I mean, last season we had some fairly calm Old Firm games, actually, didn't we? There was one or two that went without hardly any incident. But they can be explosive encounters, as we all know. Will VAR exacerbate that or not?
I think with the two managers that they've got, I don't think that it'll adversely affect it. I certainly don't think it'll make it any more powder keg. I don't think it'll make it any more likely to kick off. there will be more pissed off players because they're going to lose the goal or they're going to get sent off or whatever. But I think VAR's been kicking about so long that even though we're only just getting it, but I'll stop saying that soon, that it won't come as a surprise to them. So I think largely they'll just suck it up.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was quite notable that the persona and the images and the way that the two managers conduct themselves, it almost permeates through the team as well.
Right, absolutely.
Absolutely. It has a big influence on them. So no, I don't think an Old Firm game's always going to be an Old Firm game. You're going to have the explosions in the crowd, you're going to have explosions on the pitch. I don't think VAR will have any influence in that, but I do think that both managers have a very positive influence on their two playing staff.
Mm-hmm. That was very clear last year.
Yeah.
What about the first VAR decision that goes against one of the Old Firm? I'm thinking January the 2nd. Is it offside? Is it onside? It's the first goal of the game, and it's been called off.
Guaranteed, whichever way around it goes, then the fans will still be wanting the ref crucified. You can't win.
No, you're not going to win on that situation, and it will be very, very noticeable. The first VAR decision, I can guarantee it. And I think getting back to what we said before, I think the sponsor wants right all over that camera.
Oh, absolutely. Can you imagine when you go over to look at the monitor?
Yeah.
Whoever gets their logo on the bottom of that's payday.
Yes.
But I mean, really, can you imagine it? The big screens at Ibrox, and there's a big decision goes against Rangers, for example, by a minute.
I hope they've got the engine running.
Well, it'll be one of these ones you're talking about, somebody's toenails offside.
Yeah.
It'll be something like that.
Yeah.
And the place will just go mental.
I hope it's something that is so conclusive that everybody goes, oh, right.
Aye, all right.
You don't want them going, but...
You just know it won't be.
Oh, no. Absolutely won't be.
Written in the stars.
As I said, I think the car driver should have the engine running at minute 45 as soon as they're ready to go.
We'll soon find out if Nick is as good as we thought.
Yes.
Is there any scope for your colleagues or your former colleagues, if you like, talking to their colleagues in England for maybe some anecdotal help or how do we apply? How did you guys handle it? That type of thing.
Oh, but without a shadow of a doubt, that's happened. Because
Mm-hmm.
Everybody meets up often enough in tournaments and games and whatever. So there will have been dialogue. Down south, they'll have told our guys about the mistakes that they made. They'll be telling them about what went well. So that conversation has already happened.
Yeah, and obviously they've been our top guys at FIFA level and UEFA level. They've been working with it within Europe. They'll have been getting coached on this for long and weary. So, and as you say, the communication dialogue with that will be open. So yeah, they'll be using it, but at the end of the day, talking can only do so much. It's when you put it into practice.
No, exactly. And just to go back briefly to the current crop and the guys that have got big seasons ahead, we've still got some experienced men, who've been in the game for a while now. Is it a natural sort of conclusion for people like perhaps Willie Collum? Is he coming towards the end of his tenure as a top man?
Yeah, and I don't mean anything bad by that, but yeah, it's the circle of life. And we've all been there when we've come through and we've been young whippersnappers and we get the world at our feet, and then the blinking of an eye, you're one of the old guys. So yeah, that'll happen. I think Willie's coming to the end of his refereeing life. Alan Muir's been there.
Yep.
God, he's been there since I was doing it. He's still young, he's still fit, but he's getting to the end of his career as well. We've all been there, and that's that's as it should be.
Yes,
the youngsters start coming through.
Willie was promoted very, very quickly to a high level, very, very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Willie he did the same reffing classes that I did. He was about 14 or something.
Yeah, I know he was very young. I remember running the line to him in a junior game.
Mm-hmm.
But he aligned himself very much with Hugh Dallas, and he flew through the ranks, so to speak. Got to SPL. In fact, did he get FIFA before he was in the SPL? Yes.
That's a sore point.
Yes. So he's been at a high level for a long, long time. And listen, Willie is an extremely fit wee guy. He puts high demands on himself. He puts high demands on anybody who's working with him. I think we've said it before. In my opinion, if it was me, I would be looking at thinking, well, do you know what else is there to achieve? He's not going to be getting the high UEFA games anymore.
No.
He's going to be still a safe pair of hands within Scotland. So if it was me, yeah, I would maybe look at, do you know what, let's go and have a last hurrah. But that's not me calling for Willie to step down by any manner of means. Just saying in my opinion. Alan Muir, very, very safe pair of hands. Alan, lovely guy, he looks after himself extremely well. Again, as Steve said, probably no denying it. He's coming to the latter parts of his career, but it's evolution. So as they potentially 2, 3, 4 people leave, then that leaves a gap for ones underneath to come through. You can't bottleneck it. You've got to keep bringing through fresh talent, and that's just that. As Steve said, that's just the way things go.
Absolutely. Well, let battle commence, as they say, gentlemen. The Scottish Premiership soon to get underway, and I've no doubt there'll be a couple of things to talk about in our next episode.
Can't wait.
Yep, looking forward to it.
Thanks for listening to Get Involved Referee.